The Nuggets got a win over the Lakers. Are they rounding into form? Jokic still had 9 turnovers. Lots to talk about in that game. And then the Spurs beat Detroit. Detroit's struggling a little bit against the top teams. Not so much for San Antonio. Warriors beat the Rockets, and Jayson Tatum is coming back. All of that and more on today's All-NBA show. What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares, and I'm joined an hour early this morning by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler. Legs, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. Just early because I'm that eager. I couldn't wait. Till noon Eastern. We had to do it now. Actually,
I can't wait.
Really good games last night, man. Well, actually, some of the I don't know if I'd call them good games, maybe in some cases, but like in terms of compelling finish, but still super interesting what happened in the game. We had a few of those last night.
Well, we're going to talk about all of them here because as I laid it out, there was a couple important games, and that's really what this time of year is, games that kind of tell a story. The Nuggets and Lakers last night, this could have flipped the standings. The two teams basically the same record. I think came into this game a half a game separated in the standings, so it was a big one for both teams. But it was the Nuggets who were able to get a clutch win, a much-needed clutch time win. They haven't been winning many of those lately, but they got one against the Lakers last night. Jokic goes for 28 points, 12 rebounds, 13 assists, but he had 9 turnovers, and that's been a story since coming back from injury. His turnovers have been at career-high levels. That's what stood out to me, but what stood out to you about this game?
Yeah, I think this was a game where there were times that Denver looked like really dominant in the flow. Lakers made their run. Their small lineup kind of got them back in it. And I'm curious to see going forward based on what happened with DeAndre Ayton last night. Like, is he even going to see the floor anymore, like for the Lakers? Because they were so irritated with him after 5 minutes of play. He didn't come back in the game. So they went small out of necessity. Yeah. Jackson Hayes played pretty well, but when he was out of the game, they went small. And that lineup kind of gave the Nuggets some trouble. It actually, more than even probably gave them trouble, it just opened something up for the Lakers more than anything. To get back in the game, it's a very interesting possessions late, and then Jokic was really, really good down the stretch to help them get a very important win, man. This like you're right, they're locked in a dead heat right now, and last thing you want to do is drift into that 6th spot. So good job by the Nuggets holding them off at the end. Jokic with a couple of really important baskets late to help hold them off.
This feels to me, I mean, obviously Denver's the team I cover closest. I'm here in Denver. I cover every single one of their games. So this feels to me like, fingers crossed, the end of the Nuggets' injury. I should say the beginning of the end of their injury stretch, which is spanned for 2 months. For 2 months, they've been shorthanded. Yeah. And it's not, legs. A lot of teams have gone through injuries. I was thinking about what has made this part particularly challenging for Denver. It's not just the injury, it's the redundancy. The injuries are happening to the same type of player. So Jokic gets hurt, and right after he gets hurt, Valanciunas gets hurt. That's your backup center. So Denver has to play without a center for a month. Aaron Gordon gets hurt, and then Peyton Watson gets hurt. That's his understudy. So you're losing your defensive specialist forward. Last night it was those two and Cam Johnson and Spencer Jones. That's Denver's 4 top forwards. Like if you just listed them in fourth as the forwards, number 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's the 4 top. And you're going to have to go up against Luka Doncic and LeBron James, the two phenomenal forwards. I think Aaron Gordon should be back tonight. That's the report from Sam Amick as Denver takes on the Knicks. I think this marks the beginning of the end. Denver has not looked great, but as you slowly get guys back, key pieces back, I do feel like it sends a signal to the rest of the team of, okay, time to settle things down. This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
This might be the most important return for any legitimate high-level star player.
Right.
Obviously, when teams have those guys out, it's really difficult to overcome that. When you get to that next tier of player, I don't know if there's a more important player making a return than Aaron Gordon and what he means to Denver. And for a variety of reasons, his defense, obviously, and he comes through, seems like he has big nights scoring when you need it. It's also his understanding of where to be all the time offensively too. And what that does to their offense and the way that He's positions himself in a way to make you pay if you don't read things perfectly defensively. The comfortability factor he has with Jokic, the trust that all those guys have in him, his smarts, his IQ, his toughness, getting all of that back. I'm telling you, this is and that's why I have personally, at no point, I think you know this, have I just kind of gone like, oh, well, it's not Denver's year, not going to happen for them. I don't like the way they look, despite the fact that I have gotten peppered with those type of questions all year when other than the start. It's because of Aaron Gordon. I'm sitting there going, like, how much more important of a piece do you want out? Like, this guy means so much to this team, and they're finally going to get him back. And then, of course, Peyton Watson, with the way he played, I'm very curious to see like what that's going to translate to when they get everybody out there. They went a long stretch without Christian Brown. He's really important to their team for a variety of reasons. So they try to keep it afloat. Jamal Murray's been great all season. Jokic missed a chunk, but his typical Jokic greatness. But those other pieces, man, plugging in to complete the puzzle, that's what they've lacked. They're getting at least one of those key pieces back tonight. That's a major thing to look at for the Nuggets going forward and how different their team's going to look on both ends.
I just mentioned the redundancy part of the injuries, but another redundancy is it's all their most athletic players. Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson, Spencer Jones, along with Christian Brown, who also missed a lot of time. Those are your athletic players, your defensive players and your athletic players. And Denver's basically been playing hyper unathletic ball, for the last couple months. And I think it's worn them down. But, if we go to this game, I want to go to the clutch time because Denver has really struggled in the clutch. And I personally believe that has to do with Aaron Gordon. He is a big part of their clutch time offense. You want to simplify things. You're going to run the two-man game, but he's the counterweight to the two-man game. Nonetheless, Denver has looked really bad in the clutch. And last night, Legs, there was one moment. It was a brief moment where I thought Denver was actually going to lose the game. And it was with about 2.5 minutes to go in the game when Jokic turned it over. He gets the ball at the nail, and he just throws the laziest pass that gets intercepted pretty cleanly. I can't even remember which player intercepted it. And I was sitting here thinking, Denver has been so bad in the clutch, and they've been so great for so many years and so bad in the clutch that when he turned that ball over, I thought if they lose this one, I think it's going to be in their heads because they've been struggling in the clutch. And if you blow a game that you've led from start to finish, they've never trailed in this game. If you blow it in the final 2 minutes, I feel like that gets in your head. But fortunately for Denver, Marcus Smart had 2 opportunities at wide open threes late in this game, missed both of them. So they were never able to get over the hump. And then Denver was able to close strong. So, can you speak to Denver's late game execution? And then do you agree with me that sometimes it can be a simple play like that? Like Denver made the mistake in the clutch, and if it didn't cost them, they got off the hook. But if it did, I do think it might have, it would have created a little bit more of a tilt in their mind with these late game struggles.
I do agree with that. It's because it's not necessarily the mistake, the turnover, the missed shot. It's how the other team capitalizes on that. That's when it's like this double whammy moment in the clutch, and that's when the weight of it can start to be something that you succumb to. Because then maybe the next possession, if Smart hits one of those threes, maybe the next possession Denver rushes something, or whatever, because now they're behind. Let me talk first about. Okay, you're right. That was the turnover. Hachimura came up with the steal. They go down the other end. Marcus Smart took 2 consecutive threes, wide open on the first one, so he takes it. Yeah. Denver will gladly let that happen and see that. He's a 33% three-point shooter. Yeah. I know he had 3 of them on the night. I don't care. He's a 33% three-point shooter. You will live with that shot all night long if you're the Nuggets in that situation. There was 10 seconds on the shot clock when he shot that shot. Now, he did have 15, 20 feet of open space in front of him. So, he almost had to shoot that. The next one, LeBron drove baseline on the left side, threw the ball to the other corner on the right side of the floor. He's over there. That was like semi-contested, and that was with 10, 11 seconds on the shot clock. That did not need to be taken. It was short. To me, those are the 2 biggest trips of the night for the Lakers. And you end up with exactly the shot you're going to live with if you're the Nuggets. Marcus Smart taking a 3-point shot. And they dodged a bullet as a result. Could the game have turned out differently if he hits one of those? We don't know. Maybe Denver still wins the game, but it definitely feels a lot different coming up the floor inside of 2 minutes when you just lost the lead, okay, and they hit a 3, and they're going to be super energized defensively and all that. Instead, both of those misses almost felt deflating to the Lakers. Like, we got two good looks. Marcus Smart missed both of them. And that, to me, was the moment Denver dodged a bullet here and avoided, a really bad loss. I would have felt like at home when they had that lead, let it get away, and then you lose to the Lakers late at home. That would have been a bad loss. It would have left a bad taste in their mouth. Instead, they dodge it. So you're right. Some of it is good fortune, man. Yeah. But Jokic made two big shots down the stretch to help seal it.
It was almost like after that turnover and after they didn't capitalize on it, that's when Jokic and the Nuggets as a team kind of like, okay, let's get over the hump. And that's just all I mean is sometimes you need, you get let off the hook when you shouldn't have been, and then it settles everything down and allows you to execute. Let me go to another question I have, though, because I always think when I watch these games, I always think about if these teams match up in a playoffs, what is the advantage? What do teams learn from a game like this? And I think actually there's a good chance this is the 6-3 matchup. But what I think the teams learn from this one is that the Lakers' small ball lineup bothered Denver. It's the only success they really had. And some of this maybe happens because DeAndre Ayton plays for 5 minutes and goes out the game. Denver, by the way, started 11-0 to open this game, so he was getting murdered. But when they went small with LeBron basically playing center and Jokic is on the floor, Denver got great looks. Jokic missed a bunny at the rim. They kick out to Christian Brown for a wide open three in the corner. He misses it. A couple other plays like that. But the reason I bring that up is Denver's offense scores even against their big lineup. So sometimes a team will say, well, why don't we just play small? We're not going to make a difference. Maybe they miss some shots. But if we go small, we could play 5 out. And Jokic had no chance of stopping or guarding LeBron or Luka or Reeves. Whoever it is, he'd have to get switched out on. So I looked at that and said, I think that's what the Lakers take away from this. If we play Denver, our best bet is to play really small because we're not going to stop them anyway. And Jokic's going to have to be out on the perimeter guarding one-on-one the entire game.
It is. It gives you a chance, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't worry about it too much if I were Denver. The reason is that if you go 5 out against Denver, if that's what you're going to do, you better be a team that can really hurt you from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Because it's great to say, well, yeah, Jokic, who's Jokic going to guard? And these closeouts were tough. And he had a couple plays during that stretch where it's like, they're moving the ball around a little bit. And now he ends up like on some sort of an awkward closeout against a guard. He's not going to get there in time or could get beat off the dribble. But none of it matters if a team does not have like at least 3 guys on the floor that are legitimate 3-point shooters when you go small. Like small lineups that are mediocre 3-point shooting team, ultimately that's not going to be effective. It's just not. Yeah. Because defensively you're going to be giving up a lot. And and who's going to guard Jokic on the other end of the floor? But it's one thing if you're just scoring every time. You'll live with it. Okay, Jokic maybe beat us up inside a little bit, but we're scoring every time down there. And like, at least half of those are threes. That's not the case with the Lakers. Like they string together 3-point shots. It's so rare that they even have quarters where they like the 3-point shot is a big part of why they had a good quarter. It's been a problem for them all year. I wouldn't worry about it too much if I were Denver. I don't think a 5-out lineup can have a 5 to 6 minute thing where they turn a game or they have a good little run. Their quickness defensively, maybe a little bit quicker to the ball, things like that. They're a little bit faster up the floor in transition. Okay, it gives you a problem for 5 or 6 minutes. I do not think that's a sustainable formula to play small against Denver if you don't have the ability to really hurt you from the 3-point line. That's when Jokic would be like total fish out of water. Like, how is he going to stay on the floor almost defensively when they're bombing you out from the 3 and he has no one to guard? That's not the case with the Lakers. There are some teams that could play small lineups that could do that to you. That could be a problem against Denver. I wouldn't worry about it as much with the Lakers.
Well, Denver lost a couple weeks ago to a very short-handed Warriors team, was without Steph, without Draymond, and they lost to him, and it was because of that. I mean, the Warriors played 48 minutes of 5 out with Al Horford, who can give you kind of a facsimile of a big inside defensively, but 5 out and shoot the 3, and they made like 24 threes or something.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like you can get away with that in the NBA if you're doing something like that. And look, Golden State takes more threes than any team in the league anyway. So on those nights they actually get hot because you got a bigger defensive team that can't catch up to the ball. That's a problem for a defense. Now, you still maybe overcome it because of what you could do to them at the other end. But when you're trading 3s for 2s for stretches of the game, man, that's a really tough uphill battle. You're not going to really run into that against the Lakers. For them, it's more, let's just guard them and make the right guys take the 3s and we'll be fine. And don't let these other guys get to the line. That's what you have to do against the Lakers.
Well, the team that makes me think about this is the Spurs, because you wonder, we haven't seen a lot of Nugget Spurs yet, especially with either team being close to healthy. We'll see that here in the coming weeks, hopefully. But they have the ability to play that way with Wemby. Basically on offense can stretch the floor and pull you out, and then defensively obviously come over and help, and there's some things they can do. By the way, also putting small guys on Jokic rather than have Wemby guard him. What teams are trying, last night it was Marcus Smart. What if we put a smaller guy on Jokic and just helped from every other angle? And that seems to be a formula. But the Spurs are a team I look at and say, we haven't got to see it yet. These two teams match up, but that's what they do. They have the ability to do that. And if the Spurs have a matchup advantage against the Thunder and the Nuggets, you look at that and say that if they can be a 2 seed and they kind of have something that they know works against the two top teams, that's a nice inside path to a finals.
Well, let me say something first of all. The San Antonio Spurs are the only team in NBA history that could put 4 6-foot players on the court with Wemby, and you still wouldn't say that's a small lineup. Because, no, seriously, like, I don't care. First of all,
Wemby and small ball, yeah.
First of all, that team's guards are so tough and so physical.
Yeah.
That number one, even those guys, you don't even look at them as like small players, man. They hold their ground defensively. They battle on the glass. They're physical when they take it to the rim. So they can play a smaller lineup. But I'm kind of half joking about what I said about 4 guards in Wemby. That's not small. Like, most teams could play 4 guards and a center, and you're going, okay, they got their small lineup on the floor. That's not the case because of the ground he covers. And that last night, look, there are some nights like Wemby, obviously he's an incredible game-changing defensive player, but some nights it's less like dynamic, pound the gavel, look at me type stuff defensively. It's more like presence affects the game. You can tell teams operate their offense differently. They don't take chances at the rim at all because he's back there. Last night was a loud Wemby defensive game where you're like, oh my goodness. Like, and this is the Pistons team, doesn't shoot a lot of threes. It's their weakness. So they need to get to the paint. They need to get to the offensive glass. They need to get out and run in transition, force turnovers and run. Wemby erased all of that. It was like incredible to me the number of times, and I don't know how many blocks he ended up with in the game, but how many times they drove at him. And we're going to get to this game in a minute, but he altered everything on the floor and changed the entire way the Pistons had to play. So Spurs can play small and have him on the court, and you're not really small at all because of what happens defensively is a totally different look than any other team playing smaller lineups around their center.
Yeah. Let's get to Jokic now, though. 9 turnovers in this game. 9th time in his career he's had 9 turnovers. Since returning from this injury, he's led the league in turnovers per game with 4.3. It's been really egregious. And I don't understand it because some of this is, okay, timing. He protects the ball extremely well for how much he handles it. Extremely well. He has one of the lowest turnover, per touches that we'll see. He's been great, but now since coming back from injury, he's throwing some passes. Like last night, they were doubling him in the post, and he kept forcing the ball to Christian Brown, who was flashing and just not delivering it to him. But the ones that are really throwing me off, Legs, he has the best hands I've ever seen of a player. He grabs the craziest rebounds, loose balls. He just has the octopus suction cup fingers. He just gets his hands on every ball. He's fumbling so many right now. Just balls that hit his hands and he drops them, dribbles, and then he'll just dribble it off of himself. I've never seen it. And it's been like 12 games now that he's been doing this, and I can't seem to make sense of it.
Well, let me ask you, then you watch him closer than anybody. What do you think's going on? Like, what's causing this?
So he has this recurring wrist thing that's been going on for like 4 years, and it seems to flare up and go away at different times. You'll see him tape it for like a week and then take the tape off. I've heard it's been especially bad for quite a while, and his shot, his touch has been off and these different things. I have to imagine it's that because, like I said, forced pass turnovers, I understand. Getting your rhythm back, you have some different guys in the lineup. There's not as much chemistry. That would make sense. But these ones where he's just dribbling, he had a move the other day, just dribbled it away, just dribbling the ball and lost it. And I've never seen him do that as frequently as he's done it over the last, 3 weeks or so.
I will say this, like his turnover numbers are high right now, and he's in a tough stretch. But like for the season, he's had seasons where he turned the ball over this much. I mean, and it was just a little bit under this the year they won the title. So I understand what you're saying. 9's outrageous, and he's bunching them together pretty badly right now, and he's over 4. I think since like February 1st, it's over 4 a game. That's high. There are other guys that turn the ball over like that for long stretches. I think overall, he also has the capability of turning this around, and like he can have games where he's got the assist numbers are the same, the turnovers get cut, and by the end of it, he's back into that 3.5 range instead of 3.8, approaching 4, which is where he's at now. But he's had other seasons where he averaged turnovers that high. In fact, 21-22, he averaged 3.8. The next year, 3.6. He's at 3.8 right now. So I know that like sometimes when you're watching him every night and he has maybe a 3 or 4 game stretch where they're really high and 9's outrageous, it feels that way. But I'm telling you, still has a chance. Maybe by the end of the year, that's at that 3.6 range. Could be. And you're like, okay, that's kind of where he's been like a lot of years. So I don't know that I'm going to overreact to it as much as maybe you are.
Yeah, it's just so many since coming back from injury. That's the thing, is that the number is just up since then. If we go, I want to ask you about a guy we've talked about a lot, and I know you've liked, is Julian Strawther. He had 18 points. He is a guy that has started playing because there's been so many injuries. He's played a lot, and he's played really well. Last night, he hit a clutch shot in the corner in the fourth quarter that was much needed. He was wide open, but, the ability to hit that as a player is not playing a ton of minutes. And he's just I feel like this is the year he's growing. I have not liked his game the last 2 years. I just haven't seen the vision for it. But this is the year where the game seems to be slowing down for him. What is it you like about him, and what did you see from him last night?
Well, I just like the fact that he's he's just a natural born scorer, and he's got a good ability to put pass possessions in his rearview mirror, and he plays like straight ahead. I kind of compare him a little bit to like a guy like Jared McCain, not in style of game necessarily, but in the fact that they don't really care about like what's happened here over the last few minutes. So he's out there to do one thing. He's out there to score. He's out there to stretch the floor. He's out there to find his shot. He's not going to be a guy that's going to, be a game changer defensively. They've got other guys that can do that for them. He's not going to be a guy that's going to create a lot of offense. He's not a guy that's going to kill you on the glass. He's out there to score. And on the nights he does it, it's a valuable thing that they need from him, particularly any night they play shorthanded. He's going to get those minutes, and he could score the basketball. And last night was a night they needed all of that to hold off the Lakers. You didn't know that was going to be the case earlier in the game, but as it turns out, they needed all of that to get that win. I just like his mentality. He's very aggressive. He's very confident, and he's sort of tunnel vision and like what he's out there to do. And I think they haven't put too much on his plate. Like they've basically managed him in that way. Like, this is what you're out there to do. Go do it, and we'll live with the results. And it's simplified the game for him. But he can score, man. And it's when he hits a couple buckets early in his stretch, whether he's starting or whether he's coming off the bench, when he hits a couple shots in his early run when he's on the floor, it does seem like he's a different player that night. Like he can't wait to get his hands on the next one.
We go to the other side of this. I'm going to sound like the biggest hater on this one because the two teams, like I said, have basically the same record, and I think Denver is a contender. The Lakers, to me, are just nowhere close. When I watch them play, they don't have the pieces you need to be competitive against good teams. For one, DeAndre Ayton plays 5 minutes and he's out. Okay. Your backup is Jackson Hayes. And then to your point, if you go small, you don't have like the 3-point shooting or the super athleticism that's going to make up the gap. I'm not sure what they're great at. They have Luka Doncic, who's obviously great. LeBron James, by the way, LeBron James had a run to get them back in this game in the fourth quarter where he was basically setting screens, short rolling, and then making these phenomenal passes to Jackson Hayes for dunks. They have like skilled players, obviously, some great players. But when I look at them, they do not check enough boxes. Interior rim protection, speed and athleticism, 3-point shooting. They don't have some of the key ingredients you have to win. And to me, they are closer to the play-in teams than they are to the teams above them, the Houston, the San Antonio, the Minnesota teams. They're closer to the Phoenix level teams, in my opinion. Is that a fair assessment?
Actually, I think that's pretty close. I actually would almost put them in a category by themselves.
In between.
Exactly right. And they're the only team I think that's like that.
Yeah, they might be. I think be
right. I think you have those play-in-ish type teams, and some of them I have a lot of respect for. Probably Phoenix at the top of the list when they've got everybody healthy. And then you've got obviously those top teams, and then I put the Lakers in this area by themselves. Not good enough to beat those top teams in a best of 7, but I do think just based on talent alone, even though they don't have the spark and they're like the constant fiery determination that some of those teams have below them, they would beat those teams in a best of 7, I believe, because of their talent alone. So I think they're in this weird ground in between. But the big takeaway from what you just said is they're not on the level of the top teams that could represent the Western Conference. And I think we feel that way about them. There's a variety of reasons. And I think for me, the biggest thing is when I watch the Lakers play, it's infrequent to see like that just competitive fight. Like collectively, they have a lot of talent, and Luka going his runs, and Austin Reeves talented, and LeBron goes on his runs, and that looks great. And you're like, man, they can put together quarters where they score a lot of points. It's like the consistent 48-minute, man, you better come ready to play this team like with the competitive will that they hit you with. So that's where I struggle. Now, let's talk real quick about the start of this game for DeAndre Ayton. Like, he played 5 minutes. He didn't see the floor the rest of the night. I don't think all of it was on him, but he definitely had some plays that you're kind of like, the jogging from their offensive end when he wasn't even in the lane. Like, he's at the top of the key when a shot goes up, the turn and the jog, and now they're compromised because the ball's thrown ahead, and it's just you can tell the body language is always look at him. Like, no matter what happens, when a team scores, there's like 3 guys turn and they shrug their shoulders, and they're pretty much looking at DeAndre Ayton usually. There was a couple plays offensively. He had 1 attempt at the rim. He missed it. He should have absolutely made that shot. There was a cut he made. He was kind of sealing. Luka threw him a rocket pass. He wasn't ready for it. He almost ducked. The ball went out of bounds because he thought it was going to a corner shooter, and Luka's looking at him like, what are you doing, man? And even the coaching staff, like JJ Redick was like telling him to get back, but you could kind of see on his face they were frustrated. So he didn't play the rest of the night. I don't know what that's going to mean going forward. Obviously, he's been a big talk of conversation. Jackson Hayes played pretty well. I don't know that Jackson Hayes is the solution either. So what is the solution? Play smaller, try to be so good offensively that you give yourself a chance, because I don't think defensively that competitive will I talk about is going to be there at the level you need to play, particularly teams like OKC and San Antonio at the top of the list. But then you even get into that next group, Minnesota, Houston, Denver, like those next teams. I just don't think they have what it takes for 48 minutes to fight you for every square inch defensively. And that's what I think our takeaway is when you watch the Lakers. They can win games because they got talent. That's not a consistent formula in this league to like win and really contend and go deep into the postseason. There's got to be something else there. Win that 98-92 game in the playoffs because you just want it that bad and you fight that hard defensively. They don't have that defensive spark to them that these other teams do.
I agree. And I used to think they're a team that could upset somebody in the first round, but they probably can't win multiple rounds. I don't know if they can upset one of the top teams in the Western Conference. The game is too difficult for them, and they have too many key gaps, where they're just too inadequate. So I'm not sure they could beat one of the top teams in the West. I would be completely shocked.
And the other thing, real quick, let me just say real quick, last point on the other thing that really hurts them, like they're just not a team that on a given night can overcome some of this because they make 18 threes.
Yeah.
Like there are teams that can win a game that way. The 3-point shooting is rough. You think about this, Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic, I think it's like 47% of his field goals are threes.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like if you think about a guy that good, because he's getting the line 10 times a night.
He's trying too hard to get to the line.
And those aren't shot attempts. So, I guess maybe those numbers are a little bit skewed because those are technically, he's taking 2-point shots a lot of times on those foul plays. But I'm just looking at the raw numbers. Like 47% of his field goal attempts are 3-point shots. Yeah. And he's a low 30% 3-point shooter. But that's tough, man. That's a tough way to win. And like if they could beat you some nights the way Golden State can, playing small, they're undermanned, and they can make 23 threes and win a game. But that's not what the Lakers do. And so therefore your defense needs to be even better. And that's why I guess when you watch them, it's just a little bit, you're unfulfilled watching the Lakers compared to some of the other top teams in this league.
I will say both Jokic and Luka are trying too hard. They're like too focused on the fouls in a way that's distracting them. I mean, Luka had multiple last game where he had a good wide open lane to the basket. And instead of take it, he'd stop and lean and try to shoot the jumper and draw the contact. It's like you had 2 automatic points. Now you turned it into, maybe you get the call, maybe you don't. And he got some of them and he didn't get some of them. And I think Yoke's been doing this a lot too this year, and especially since coming back from injury, where it's like the game could be easier to him, but he's so focused on trying to accentuate the contact. Both of those guys, I think, have to realize when to do that, when not to. And both of them, I think, are off in that calculus at the moment. Let's take a break because I want to get to some of these other games here, and I know we got to get out a little bit early today, but the Spurs keep making statements, this time against Detroit. Detroit keeps struggling, or recently has been struggling against some of these checkpoint games. We'll talk about that on the other side. Buzzer beaters and block parties are back. Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. You get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Nuggets are in a back-to-back tonight. I always give you my predictions, and I always tell you right here, I always try to use my team. So Knicks are in Denver. Karl Anthony Towns, 17.5 points. Higher. Loves this matchup. He loves when he gets to go up against Jokic. Plus Denver on a second night of a back-to-back. Josh Hart, 7.5 rebounds. Well, he's a hustle guy. I think his hustle plays are going to work. Higher. Nikola Jokic, 0.5 triple-doubles. Higher. He's going to have to carry the day, so I'm going higher there. Download the app today and use promo code ALLNBA to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code ALLNBA. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org in Arizona. 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. Also want to tell you guys about Shopify. What kind of dreams did you have when you were a kid? What did you want to be when you grew up? Well, maybe you're thinking about starting your own small business or your own side hustles. Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. If you're wondering where to get started with Shopify. They have all the tools to help you kind of point you in the direction of how to get your idea off the ground. Shopify even powers the All City merch store. Shopify's got you covered with website creation, product description, email and social media marketing, and more. They also have AI tools that are designed to help you maximize sales. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for that $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. All right, back here, segment 2, me and Tim Legler. If you're enjoying the show, make sure you're subscribed. Legs and I are doing this 2 times a week, and we're just talking real hoops, sticking to the games and breaking down what we take away from it. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit that like button for us. Let's go to the other games around the association last night. The Spurs get a home win against the Pistons in fairly dominant fashion. They're up by 15 points at the end of the first quarter, and they get the win 121-106. The story for me, Victor Wembanyama, 38 points, 16 rebounds, 5 block shots, 100 alterations. He just dominated this game. What's your takeaway from this one?
Yeah, that would be the number one headline. But, we've seen that so many nights that he's capable of doing that. I thought it's one of his best defensive games I've seen him play since he came into the league. Just absolutely destroyed what Detroit needed to do and wanted to do in this game to be able to score enough points to win the game. He just didn't allow any of that stuff to happen. He had one of the most insane blocked shots, which led to an open floor alley-oop dunk. So it was like end-to-end sequences of the night. One of the best ones I've seen this season because he was basically engaged with the defender in the paint, had his right hand. I don't remember who might have been Duran, somebody, a big, maybe Stewart, whoever he was guarding, was sort of diving toward the rim, and he had his right forearm in their chest, so slowing them up. And now right behind that diver, here comes Detroit, the guard, trying to get into the paint and score, and he had his right hand down by his side, and he just stuck his left hand up in the air while he was basically trying to ride out a big out of the lane. He stuck his left hand up in the air and blocked a mid-range pull-up jump shot, and then the ball could have ricocheted back toward half court. Then he gets out of the pack and he runs like a deer, and they throw him this incredible lob on the break. And poor Duncan Robinson's back there trying to figure out how to stop these two. And he gets a dunk and the place explodes. And I'm just going, my goodness, man. Like, it's just different. Some of the stuff he does is just so different. Like every night you feel like you watch him, there's something that happens and you go, that's the only dude in the league that's making that play. And that was one of those defensive plays. And he had a number of them, 5 blocks. I don't even know how many alterations or other balls that basically he affected because he had an outreached hand and completely affected your ability to see the rim or shoot the ball the way you wanted to, when you wanted to. He was an absolute dominant force. But I will say this, maybe the biggest storyline for the Spurs internally was like when De'Aaron Fox looks like that, that's the De'Aaron Fox we saw at his best in Sacramento. When he looks like that alongside Wemby on those nights, Wemby's great. That's when you go, man, this is a team that potentially could get to the finals, win a championship this year. Because some of that talk earlier in the year, it felt a little premature to me. Like, wow, maybe the Spurs can get there this year.
Not right now. It doesn't feel that way.
And this particular game,
and
Detroit's whole, they got Stewart back, so they got their full complement of guys, man. They just got beat by this team. You know that they wanted to come in there and like really set the tone and send a message, because who knows, maybe they do see them down the road and they just weren't able to do it. Like San Antonio was too much for them physically. So I think those were the two things that stood out, man. Wembanyama's night was one of those nights, even by his standards, like, wow, this is a special Wemby night. But then it was De'Aaron Fox, how great he looked, how good his jumper looked. Like the rhythm he got into, it just the pressure that put on Detroit's defense to have him rolling like that when you're already dealing with so many things, figuring out how to have everything plugged for Wemby and like what he's going to do to you. De'Aaron Fox was sensational in this game.
I think I want to talk on both of those points here. The first one on Wemby, the Pistons, I think, are designed for him to be elite on defense. Obviously, he's elite on defense for everybody, but they're designed to play to his strengths in that they're not one of those teams that gets the ball popping a ton,
right?
You know, where it's like you have to make multiple rotations. It's basically you're driving and trying to find the finishing play, and that allows Wemby to kind of sit on it, make one rotation or whatever. And then the second part of it is those two guys, and that hasn't been the story. You know, the Fox Wemby, or is that it? Is it Castle some nights? You know, Vassell, is it everybody? When it's Wemby and Fox, they present such an interesting like challenge for teams because Fox's ability to get into the paint and Wemby obviously just bending the defense wherever into pieces. That to me feels like I like Stephen Castle way better, like as a player than Fox. But I feel like it's those two guys that make the 1-2 punch that's most difficult for the Spurs. And you got that in this game. And then Stephen Castle was able to play incredible defense. I was thinking about this. You have Victor Wembanyama, who's the best defensive player in the world. Castle's one of the best like on-ball guys. He is so dominant as an on-ball guy. And you saw that against Cade Cunningham last night.
Look, we talk a lot about the Thompson twins, justifiably so, and what they do. And I just saw, Asar Thompson, man, and just how impressive he is with, like, when he picks you up full court, his ability to like slide and sort of make you think you're comfortable with the ball for a second. Then he lunges at it and comes up with it. Amen Thompson the same. We don't talk enough about Stephon Castle, like being in that category of guy that like he's so physical, he's so quick laterally. He can switch off into any big and root them out where he doesn't get backed into a compromising position where just height's too much for him because he roots guys out of their spots. He gets so low into the hip or the rib cage or the torso of a bigger player if he has to switch that those guys end up not even getting the ball most of the time. He's incredible. And like on nights like this, when Fox plays well offensively, Stephon Castle didn't have to do that much offensively. And it was like, I noticed him even more because I'm just watching his playmaking and his defense. Those other nights when maybe Fox is like in that 15, 16 point range and maybe he's just not, and Castle gets you 16, 18, 20, you're noticing the offense. Maybe you don't notice the defense as much. Like last night, because of how Fox was playing, I was only watching Castle's defense and playmaking. And I'm going, man, goodness, he is a winner. He is a winner. He's all business with his demeanor. He's got one purpose on the court. It's to compete and to win. Gosh, did they get a great player with him. And then I actually feel the same way about Dylan Harper. Harper comes in the game. He's this physical force with his strength and power at the guard, not quite on the defensive level that a guy like Castle is. Very few people are. but he competes. But then offensively, he's a force. And you got Vassell. Like, they're just loaded with those 4 guards. You got Wemby, you got those 4 guards, and then these awesome complementary players like a Keldon Johnson in the world. And then one of my guys that I love, who I made some pretty bold statements about in Summer League, Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant look, they're so deep that I don't know if I would call him an X factor yet, but take a look at his minutes. 7 minutes to start the season in October, 7 in November, then like 8 in December, like 13 in January. Now like 16 minutes a game so far in March. Last night he had 2 points, but Adam, I'm telling you, it didn't tell the story about his impact on the game. He had 6 boards, 3 blocks. His athletic ability, his speed to get back in transition, his stop breaks, that doesn't quantify to us anything on the stat sheet. But I'm watching him going, he blew that break up because he's the fastest guy probably outside Fox on that team end-to-end in a dead sprint. And he does that kind of stuff. The crowd is starting to react to him. I don't know what his impact will be, in big games or in the playoffs. I don't know that. But I loved his athletic ability when I saw him in Vegas. And I still believe it. This guy's going to be a dominant defensive player in this league for a long time, and his offense is coming along.
That speed and athleticism that they have in their, perimeter players, it really is a separator. I mean, they've assembled a really nice roster.
Yeah,
it kind of snuck up, at least to me. Maybe it shouldn't have, but it kind of stuck up because there are, as to your point, so many different guys. I want to go back, though. Castle and Wembanyama, two-way players. When your foundation is two-way players, it's so much easier to build a roster. And I'm just thinking about this because a lot of times, like, one of your top guys is going to have a liability somewhere. Those two guys being obviously the best rim protector in the NBA and one of the best perimeter players. And, oh, by the way, they're also very good offensive players. It's just not hard to think about who fits around those guys going forward. Everybody does. And that's a really good way to build.
And I want to make one other point about Wembanyama in this game something he did I loved, and he doesn't do it enough. He had a couple of I don't know if they were both in the first quarter. One might have been first, one early second, but they were early part of the game. Post-ups out of movement. So not where he ran up the floor and sort of semi-posted up and ended up getting pushed out to 20 feet by the time he caught the ball. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about they come up the floor. He was on one side of the floor, and just through organic movement, he kind of ran through the lane, and he ended up with a size advantage, like it was a switch or it was a cross match, and he caught the ball in the post, legit post, like just off the lane. And he quickly took one dribble, turned, and went into a pull-up jumper, like a turnaround jumper in the post before there was any ability to get into his back and make him get off balance and make him work. And he shot 2 beautifully on balance. He's got a little bit of a natural lean back, mid-range, like 16-foot turnaround jumpers off a post-up. And it was so automatic and rhythmic, and I don't think he does it enough. I think he should be taking 5 of those a game. He doesn't. He spends a lot of time on the perimeter. He shoots threes. We know that. He takes some sort of drives to the basket where he ends up a little bit off balance and takes tough shots running toward the rim. He should be doing this once a quarter, maybe 2 to 3 times a half. He should be in the post and catching the ball and immediately going into one dribble, turn, shoot over the top. Because one of them was against Tobias Harris. He didn't even put his hand up because he's like, what's the point? I'm not bothering this. My hand is like literally in the middle of his chest. So he doesn't do it enough, Adam. And I saw him do it last night a couple of times. And I'm like, man, he needs to do that more. It is unguardable when he goes quick. If he holds it, starts to try to get into this wrestling match, he's going to lose that. He's going to take an off-balance shot. So I just wanted to point that out. I want to see more of that out of him going forward.
Any concern at all? The Pistons have played a couple of these high-profile top teams and dropped them lately. Obviously, they've been great all year, but anything you take away from the fact that they've struggled? I'm trying to pull up right now. So they've lost to Cleveland, San Antonio, and San Antonio. Those are their last 3 losses.
Yeah, I mean,
they do have wins over Cleveland as well and Oklahoma City around that, so it's not like they've lost all of them.
Yeah, and again, you're looking at them going, okay, for me, I'm starting with the Pistons here. I'm not talking about them winning a title. I'm thinking about them winning the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
And look, they've got a split with Cleveland these last 2. They own the Knicks to this point in the year.
Yep.
So, we'll see what Boston's going to be a totally different thing when they get Tatum back and what that could look like. But I'm not super concerned about still where I kind of see them in the Eastern Conference. But, there's no doubt, like the lack of the 3-point shooting you may need if you fall down 15 in a game. Like that is a factor with this team. And they don't do that often. But even in this game, they kind of dug their way back. By the end of the third, they cut it to like 8, early fourth. It's kind of still a game. But clawing your way back from like you get into that 14, 15-point deficit without a lot of 3-point shooting, it's hard to grind that out by getting stops and making 2-point shots over a period of time when the other team has some 3-point firepower. It's just that's probably the one thing I look at with the Pistons and go, do they have enough? Now, I did see that last night, and he hasn't played him a whole lot. Kevin Huerter played 17 minutes last night. I think Kevin Huerter needs to be a part of their rotation. Now, he hasn't shot the ball well this year, but he has had seasons when he has shot the ball well from the three. And first of all, he's a good player outside of that. He's big.
In the right spots.
He plays hard. He's smart. He's always got a level of energy and intensity about him that I really have always liked. He's not a liability defensively. So, early on, he was like, there's no minutes to be had on this team. They got a lot of guys that play, and where am I going to play him? He's starting to play a little bit more, and he actually played pretty well last night, and I think they need another guy that at least represents a threat that's a legitimate 3-point shooter if he can turn his season around. He hasn't shot it well. Didn't shoot well in Chicago. But we'll see. I don't know if that's going to be anything, but he played 17 minutes last night, and those weren't like garbage minutes. They were minutes that mattered in the rotation. So I want to take a look at that with Detroit. That might be something to look forward to. And is that something that's going to help them? Do his minutes go up if he starts to make some threes?
We got 2 quick hitters I want to get to before we get you out of here, Legs. The Warriors get a win over the Rockets, 115-113. Kind of a big win for the Warriors, big loss for the Rockets. You watched this one. I did not. What's your quick takeaway from this one?
Yeah, man. First of all, the Reed Shepherd component, man, he was huge in this game. What he represents, you can't overstate the importance he means to that team. But I thought the Warriors, considering the fact that, I just saw this team last Saturday against the Lakers, and they just had nothing for the Lakers at all. From the very beginning of that game, they were overmatched physically. They didn't have enough offense. And this is kind of the same team they're running out there. To get some of the games they got out of Podziemski, D'Anthony Melton last night, like it was pretty amazing to watch against a good defensive team. And the Rockets could not get stops when they had to get stops against the Warriors last night. It was really interesting. And ultimately, Golden State hangs on. They executed down the stretch. Oh, and by the way, I know you think there's nothing to it, but did you see what happened late in this game with Kevin Durant?
I did not. I did not see.
Kevin Durant, and I don't have it pulled up the play-by-play. If I can pull it up real quickly because context really matters. Late in the game, Kevin Durant down 3, gets fouled on a 3-point shot.
Oh, my God.
Okay. This is Kevin Durant we're talking about, Adam.
Okay.
It's Kevin Durant. I think
it's Kevin Durant. It was Jamal Murray
in overtime.
Shooters.
So I want to get the right context here. I think it was an overtime. See if I can pull it up real quick. He goes to the line, Adam, down by 3.
Needs all 3 of them.
Needs all 3. Kevin Durant makes 1, makes 2, 113-112. There are how much time left in the game? I don't know, seconds left in the game. 39 seconds, 29 seconds left in the game. 29 seconds left in the game. Kevin Durant, damn near 90% for the line, missed his 3rd free throw.
You're going to have every time there's one of these in a game right now, it's going to be in my head. I'm going to be sweating it every single time.
Listen, man, I'm telling you, you're standing up there too long. You're there too long. It feels weird. You're waiting. Okay, you're not used to waiting when you're at the line. Give me my 2, bang, bang, let me get out of here, get to the other end. There's a rhythm to it. The rhythm's different. Just ask Jamal Murray. He would attest to what I just said. He has had this issue crop up on him a couple times. Kevin Durant, anyway, it's a big missed free throw.
Crazy.
That game's tied right there. It's different feel to it. Instead, down 1, and they weren't able to dig out there in those last couple possessions. The Warriors hold on. Great win for them. I mean, their bench was so fired up to win this game against that team with Kevin Durant on that team. Like, you could just see how much it meant to the Warriors to win this game.
Well, let's go. I'm going to have to, this is going to be I know there's going to be a playoff game that we're going to be talking about where this happens. I cannot wait for it. It's going to happen. If they make all 3, you'll never hear the end of it from me.
By the way, if Giannis ever gets in that situation where he's got to shoot all 3 free throws in a big spot, that could take a minute and a half. So like that alone, I talk about these guys that are actual shooters. like going to the line. You're there 5 seconds longer than you're supposed to be, and it feels weird. I don't imagine what that would feel like for Giannis, who eats up all of that 10 seconds plus on his free throw attempts.
Let's end today's show by checking out our fan duels of the night presented by FanDuel. You can download the app and use the code ALLNBA to receive $300 in bonus bets if you deposit $5 at signup. And let's take a look, because the game I want to ask you about here, Mavs at Celtics. That's the game tonight? Is it Mavs at Celtics?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, you're right. Mavs at Celtics. And the return of Jayson Tatum playing tonight, 10 months after his surgery. Very impressive comeback from him. That's the story in the NBA tonight, in my opinion. Jayson Tatum, and just what does he look like? What are you looking for, and what do you expect from him tonight?
There's no doubt about it. All eyes will be on him. And, clearly, you wouldn't want him to come back necessarily against, the Pistons or against like OKC or like one of these super physical defenses. So you get the Mavericks play hard, don't get me wrong, but like this is a good opportunity for him, because Sunday they've got a big game against Cleveland in Cleveland, and I'll be on the call for actually. So I can't wait to see Tatum in person. I'm so glad he made it back in time for us when we have this game, but that's what all eyes are on tonight, man. This is an incredible story. When he went down, immediately the narrative was, well, he's going to miss all of next year. And here we are, man.
Well, and beyond that, though, Legs, it also felt like the end of an era, because, they move on from some of their guys, and it felt like maybe who knows what the Celtics look like when they come back. They look like the era is extended, some alterations, but this feels like a return to what they were.
What's going to be interesting is if they do make some really deep run. Let's say they go to the conference final. Let's say they go to the finals. Some people think they can with Tatum back.
I do.
Let's say they get to the finals. Let's say they win a championship. It's going to be easy. It's like that's going to be the talk. Jayson Tatum came back and he made it back in time and they win this championship. But the truth is, like, the only reason you're considering that to be a case is because of what they've done without him and how well Jaylen Brown has played, Peyton Pritchard, the coaching job that Missoula's done, how hard they play every night. So they have done everything they can to put themselves in this position that now you can comfortably reinsert him back without like a ton of pressure to try to save the season. They have positioned themselves really well. The culture, the identity of who they are has been at the fore all year. Jaylen Brown has taken his game to a level offensively I didn't think he could. And now you can sort of, let's get him back comfortably, slowly ease him in. There's obviously going to be minutes restriction on him. I'm sure back-to-backs are probably going to be out. That's great. He came back with enough time to find a rhythm for himself and with his guys, even playing under constraints with minutes and back-to-backs, that by the time the playoffs start, he could be completely different than he looks right now. You're talking about 2 months or like 5 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now, before you really have to get into those meaningful moments for him in the playoffs. So it is the story in the league right now. He's made it back in 9 months, and we're going to see him tonight, and I can't wait. Not some other big games, though. Knicks in Denver tonight.
Yeah. And Aaron Gordon's return, which is, he hasn't been out as long as Jayson Tatum, but that could be a huge, like we talked about, he's such a huge piece for them. So I'm curious to see how Denver looks tonight. Maybe Cam Johnson's back as well. I didn't expect him to miss the last game, but sure enough, he did. Cue that outro music there, Atticus. To your point, though, man, there is enough time, and that's what's crazy about his return is this is not 2 weeks to go. I don't know how we'll use him. Maybe it's DNPs when it matters. You get a whole month, a little over a month to ramp up before the playoffs begin.
Listen, man, he's changed the narrative. If he comes back and he looks close to the version of Jayson Tatum that we've known, they've changed the narrative on who can potentially come out of the Eastern Conference if he looks that way.
The shocker of the year for me in the NBA this year is how invested I am in the Eastern Conference playoff picture. It actually is legitimately a fascinating.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be
phenomenal. Phenomenal.
A team like Charlotte that might be, that 8 seed or whatever, and now they're the most exciting team in basketball.
Adam, they might make the 6 seed. They've got Philadelphia in their crosshairs right now.
You don't want to play them. You don't want to play the Charlotte Hornets. What world are we in? I can't believe it. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed them all week, man. We really put a lot into this, and we appreciate you being part of it and tuning in every single day we're doing a show. We do have Mark Stein over the weekend. Make sure you're subscribed. Do us a favor and leave us a comment below and hit that like button for us on the way out. See you next week.
We all see city like the mayor.